Cleo Smith disappeared from her family's tent early on Saturday morning. Despite an extensive land, sea and air search, we have not yet located her body. Her disappearance strikes at the heart of West Australians, and I'm here today to provide assurance to the community that everything that can be done is being done. I will provide an update on the investigation today. I've also got with me the head of Task Force Rhodia. Superintendent Rod Wilde is a very experienced detective superintendent who will be leading the task force from today onwards. The last 5 days has seen a massive contingent of police officers, volunteers, other agencies conducting a search in the vicinity where Cleo was last seen. I want to thank the searchers in particular. They've put in an extraordinary effort. The locals up there in that area dropped everything to help. The Coral Coast helicopters, for example, put a helicopter in the sky minutes after police arrived. The Volunteer Marine Rescue scoured the coast. For 6 days they've been out there. There's been a lot of anguish. I know there's been a huge outpouring of grief from the community. The searchers themselves have been doing it tough, but they're dedicated. They've been doing very long days, but I think the community knows how important this is. Today's announcement of a $1 million reward is a significant step towards the establishment of finding where Chloe is. The Government of Western Australia has offered up that $1 million reward. As soon as I requested it, it was approved. There was no hesitation, and I want to thank the Police Minister and the Premier for approving it as quick as they did. The reward is for locating Cleo, or bringing those persons or person to account who are involved in their disappearance. The cooperation of the community is what we are urgently seeking. I ask the community, if you see anything, if you have seen anything, if you know anything, please call Crime Stoppers. 1800 333 000, or walk into any police station across Australia. Someone in our community knows what happened to Cleo. Someone has the knowledge that can help. And now there's a million reasons why that you need to come forward. The task force that's now been stood up, as I said, led by Detective Superintendent Rod Wilde, is over 100 police officers who are dedicated to finding Cleo. I want to acknowledge the early actions by police officers at the campground. On arrival, they made some very important decisions that enabled us to get a head start on this investigation. The media has been dominated by the search, the very public search in that area for Cleo, but we've also been doing some other tasks. We've been speaking to everyone in that area that has an interest of police, known to police, persons of interest. We're out there every day talking to them. Someone rings in Crime Stoppers, we're responding. We're looking into those and chasing down those leads. And most importantly, and the largest part of work now is to do the analysis on the information we've collected. Hundreds of thousands of data points, hundreds of witnesses, hundreds of exhibits. We will work methodically through that information to get our answers that we need. Our priority is to bring Cleo home. I'll let Detective Superintendent Rod Wilde provide you with a more detailed update, and then we'll take some questions.
Thanks, Mr. Blanche. So I'm here to answer questions in relation to the investigation. As Mr. Blanche said, it's now a task force with in excess of 100 officers attached to that task force. One thing that I would immediately ask is that anyone that was in the vicinity of the Blowholes on Friday the 15th into the weekend, if they haven't contacted the police, please do so by contacting Crime Stoppers. There's also a QR code which is available there, but we'd ask that people would scan that into their phone, go to that link in the website and upload any CCTV they may have or dash cam if they're travelling on those roads within that vicinity. So thank you, I'll take questions.
So the Acting Commissioner in his opening address said, "We have not yet located her body." Is that what you would expect if she was still in the area, and is that where we are at now?
Look, we're hopeful, obviously, that we'll find Cleo alive, but we hold grave fears for her safety.
So you're pretty well resigned to the fact she's been abducted?
Given the information now that we've gleaned from the scene, the fact that the search has gone on for this period of time, when we haven't been able to locate her, we would imagine that we would locate her, given the amount of resources and the detailed search that's taken place. That leads us to believe that she was taken from the tent.
And Rod, do you at this stage of the game believe that that is by someone that is not known to her?
Look, we keep an open mind in relation to that, and we look at all the possibilities.
Is this reason for this press conference to be, as I understand it, transmitted over police departments around Australia? Is their own Facebook pages going live around the country because you believe that there is a possibility that that's how far this investigation might now stretch? That's correct.
Yep. Well, look, we've been in touch with all jurisdictions around Australia. We want to get this information out there, and if anyone Australia-wide has information that could be relevant to the investigation, we ask that they call Crime Stoppers.
Either for yourself or Mr. Blanche, could access to data from the Safe WA Act play a tool in this investigation at this stage, people's movement?
Yeah.
As it's well known, police cannot access that data. There are many other data sets we can access, and far greater data sets that can give us better information about the location of Cleo.
So you're not saying it would help? Could it be a tool in this investigation, given that everything needs to be thrown at it?
Our job at the moment is to collect all data that we can lawfully access, and that's what we're currently doing.
Is there assistance to your investigation or to your attempts to find Cleo helped by the fact that Western Australia has a tight border at the moment? You've got police on the income or the exit roads out of Western Australia. Is that a help to you?
Certainly. Look, we have got 100 police on this task force. We've got the nation looking for Cleo. That's what's important here. It's not just up to police to find Cleo. This is why we're making a public appeal. Today's announcement is to say everyone needs to be looking for Cleo. Look at people who have acted strangely since the 16th. Look at people who have been in that area and you're not quite sure what's happened. Ask questions. The police are out there. Everything's going to help. Every piece of data helps. Every witness helps. Every exhibit helps.
There has been a lot of speculation up until this point about various scenarios. Are you now at the point absolutely convinced 100% that this is not an issue that goes to the family, that we're now that you are indeed looking at someone other than people who were there at that time?
No, we're keeping a very open mind in the investigation. All I said earlier was that the search operation to find someone who had wandered off is transitioning now into a task force operation where the likelihood of being taken and removed from the area is higher.
What sort of information do you have on the people who were in that campsite?
Well, that's all subject to information. As I said, the second part of this investigation was about responding to people who are known in the area that potentially are persons of interest. That includes everyone at the campsite, everyone. Our job is to eliminate everyone that has a trace at that campsite during that time.
So is it just because of the lack of evidence of, the land and sea search that hasn't found anything that's leading you down this path, or is it because of evidence found at the campsite, discussions with people around there, is any of that prompting this?
It's more in reverse. So at the start of this operation, we did all three things at once. We did a land, sea, air search for a person who may have wandered off. We did response to Crime Stoppers inquiries. We did response to any inquiries that came in. Police made their inquiries into persons of interest. We also started collecting data. We've done that since day one. A land search is a very defined activity. We get advice from doctors as to where someone would walk off, and we do that in a very confined space. That confined search for someone that has wandered off is probably going to conclude in the next 24 hours or less. I'm not in a position to talk about what exhibits we do or don't have at this point. I can just give the assurance that everything is being looked at, searched, analysed, and people are being spoken to.
Can you elaborate on those Crime Stoppers calls that you mentioned that police have been responding to? What kind of information has been run through?
There's been hundreds of Crime Stoppers calls, primarily about suspicious persons in the area, and that's what we're responding to.
Who are those people of interest that you're speaking to? Are they sex offenders in the area?
Sex offenders would certainly be on the list of persons of interest.
So they haven't been cleared off in terms of this investigation. They are still in the mix.
So the process of any investigation is the process of elimination. We have to eliminate the fact that where that person was at the time of the offence. If we can prove that they weren't there, then they're off the list.
Can you describe the scale of this task force in comparison to the other large prominent task forces in WA?
This is one of our largest and most complex task forces, like the others, that we would have ever undertaken.
From memory, there's been a number of $1 million awards offered for various crimes, from Nick Martin for girl from Collie, girl from Kalgoorlie. But $1 million award in this short time frame must tell us something.
Now, it tells us we're seeking the public's help. Now, 99% of people in this in Australia are willing to come forward just to help. If someone's involved or knows someone that's involved and they're not sure about coming forward, there's a million reasons to come forward. We're looking for answers now.
But the fact that it's happened within the 6 days, I mean, you must be... obviously it's the people it's the public that's going to provide the answers now.
Look, let me say this. Doing an investigation like this requires everyone's help. The public always come through when it comes to complex investigations. Police do the work. We're out there with boots on the ground. But the people's eyes and ears in our communities are the most valuable asset to all police investigations.
Are you able to disclose how Task Force Rodeo is kind of segregated? How many detectives might be working in different areas on it?
All I can say at this time, there's over 100 people invested in Task Force Rodeo, but that includes police officers, detectives, specialist units, forensics officers, intelligence analysts, the works.
How time critical is this, Rod?
Well, obviously it is.
What you've done.
It is. So, fortunately, we had people at the scene, as Mr. Blanche said, from Saturday afternoon, detectives at the scene. So, in all these types of investigations, it's critical that we action and we start working immediately after the crime, or as soon as possible.
And the fact that, for all intents and purposes, it's a fairly remote area, how much will that hamper you?
Well, it can hamper and also aid the investigation as well, because we've got a confined area. So once we identify all of the people, and again, that's what we want people to come forward and let us know if they were in that area during that time period, so we can identify them and speak to them. In that case, there's not as many people in it as if it was to happen in the metro area.
Is it a campsite where people have to check in, write in a book? There
is a process, but again, we believe there may be people that were in the campsite or camping around that area that didn't check in.
You believe that there were people that just turn up and they can do that?
That's possible, yes.
Is there anyone being questioned at the moment?
No, there's not.
Well, you've been involved with Lisa Mott and Jared Ross. Are there
Yes.
any parallels with those investigations in this one?
No, not really. Look, this is a very rare event, fortunately. So, and in every crime type like this, obviously we investigate all of the angles in relation to it. So, but there's no parallels that I can see.
Obviously, you have these two items in front of us. Is there anything else that you're prepared to say missing that you may believe could help solve it?
No, look, that is what we know is missing at this time. So obviously that's with Cleo, that's the jumpsuit that we believe, or very similar, not the actual jumpsuit obviously, but that's the jumpsuit that we believe that she was wearing, and the sleeping bag, that's a replica of the sleeping bag that she had at the time.
Can you just elaborate a little bit more? Mr. Blanche said that the land search up at Blowholes will conclude within the next 24 hours. I mean, you have absolutely, obviously you're going to do everything you can, but you have absolutely no doubt that she's not going to be there.
No, so let me just clarify that. The land search for a person wandering off will conclude. The search for evidence and exhibits continues. So we will still keep people up there. We will still be searching forensically. We'll still be searching the scene. So that's not stopping. It's just the defined land search for a person wandering off will conclude.
Do you know how long the family was due to stay there if this had not have happened? How long they planned to book in and stay at that?
No, I don't have that detail.
Would any evidence still, are police hopeful there would still be evidence at the site given the bad weather that we've had? Would that hamper anything?
rain certainly hampers any investigation, but that doesn't mean we give up. And there's lots of places to search, including there's a number of shacks up there as well. So we'll have to go through all of that forensically over the next few days, weeks, however long it takes.
And when it comes to the border, because I'm not familiar with it, so do police stationed at the roadblocks, do they take registration details of people leaving the state?
Well, that's not something I'm going to comment on what our operational strategy is at the moment in relation to this in particular, but certainly from the moment that police were called and attended, we started taking registrations in the area, leaving to and from that area.
Is there any evidence around the campsite that has led you to believe, I know you can't delve into the details exactly, but is there any evidence around the campsite that gives you any indication that it may have been an abduction?
Again, we are keeping an open mind on what the situation was with the disappearance of Cleo.
Can you comment at all on the role that trackers are playing in this investigation?
As I said earlier, the amount of help that's come forward to the police to assist us in this investigation and the search has been extraordinary. We have taken up all offers of experienced help. We've used the Australian Federal Police have come forward, New South Wales Police with their experience, trackers, as I said, helicopters, boats, ATVs, everyone's come and helped, and we're very gracious for that.
Police have said previously that they have technical or technological evidence placing Cleo at the site and the scene, despite no one else seeing her there. Can you elaborate on that? Was it a photo taken by her parents, or?
Look, there were a couple of CCTV cameras in the area, and it's through analysis of that. Now, that hasn't been done forensically and properly, so I think that's something that we would comment on later as part of the investigation. But I know it's already been mentioned, but certainly that's something that will be the focus of our investigation.
Is that CCTV at the campsite?
As one of the shacks.
How successful have rewards been in cases like this?
I couldn't comment on that.
What's your message to anyone who might be tempted to call police because of the $1 million reward, but are worried because they might be implicated as being involved?
Well, certainly if you're implicated in the disappearance of Cleo, you won't receive a reward. However, if you know something about it, and certainly we would ask those people to come forward, that is the incentive, not the person who did it.
If Cleo is not found soon, will police be open to increasing the number of officers on the task force?
The task force is absolutely scalable. We expect to ramp up or down depending on what we find and how the next few days and weeks go.
I think that this is a nationwide search and now a nationwide appeal, is that because there is possibility that someone has left their campsite early and slipped through the cracks and gone anywhere now?
Sorry, what was the question?
Just the fact that it is a nationwide appeal as well. Is there a possibility that police think that someone could have crossed the border before the search was actually...
Again, I want to be really important and very clear about this. This investigation is wide open. We will consider any possibility. We are collecting all the evidence, all the data, speaking to all the witnesses. We've put out a significant reward thanks to the WA government. We're hoping for answers from the community and working closely with us in our investigation.
And so there's also a possibility, other than her being somewhere else other than that campsite, that she is in the area, but you won't find her alive.
Every possibility is a possibility at this time.
That she may still be there, but perhaps buried in the area.
We consider everything at this time.
Are police receiving help from any international agencies, or are planning to receive any help from international agencies?
We've had many people call in already, and we will continue to receive help from any agency that wants to help us.
Thanks very much, everyone. Firstly, just want to acknowledge the efforts of our police and volunteers who are searching for Cleo up in the Gascoyne region as we speak. There's over 100 police personnel on this case, plus volunteers, plus Army Reserves who are out there searching in the efforts to find Cleo as we speak. It's a very sad situation, a very difficult situation. Naturally, our thoughts go to everyone involved, and especially the family and friends of Cleo. Today, we before I announce something, we have ensured that we have delivered all the resources that police have requested in relation to this case, and so Police are working round the clock to try and find Cleo right now. We're going to offer a $1 million reward to anyone who provides information that leads to us finding Cleo. So the police are very keen to offer this reward to hopefully allow for us to discover the location of Cleo as soon as possible. And I just urge anyone who has any knowledge of the location of Cleo, please provide that information to police and ensure that we can provide some certainty and information to Cleo's loved ones and hopefully bring Cleo back safe and sound.